The signal was not a distress call. It was a melody. It arrived on the periphery of the Orion arm, a low, sustained thrum woven with harmonics that seemed to resonate not in the ship's comms array, but in the hollow of the human chest. For decades, the vast, ancient civilization of the Ky'lar had been an enigma, powerful, silent, and intimidating in their colossal void ships. Now, one of their immense silver moons, a habitat long thought dormant, was singing a note of profound, aching sorrow. Captain Elias Vance gripped the armrest of the Odyssey's bridge chair. The faint, silver-blue glow of the distant moon reflected in his tired eyes. He was a scientist, not a warrior, yet something in that alien lament called to the oldest, most compassionate instinct in his species. The Ky'lar saw humanity as a fleeting, vibrant spark. Tonight, that spark would either illuminate their fear or touch their deepest wound. Elias Vance had spent his life tracing the lines of cosmic grief. His field was xenolinguistics, the study of alien communication, but his obsession was what he called the universal cadence, the hidden rhythm of shared emotion that pulsed beneath all languages, organic or algorithmic. This obsession was born not in a lecture hall, but in the quiet aftermath of the Great Isolation, when a virus had nearly fractured the fragile unity of the human diaspora. He remembered the feeling of utter loneliness and the slow, agonizing journey back to connection. The Odyssey was not a warship. It was an explorer, a library, and a clinic wrapped in a sleek, fast hull. Its primary mission, the establishment of the Solarian Empathy Protocol, a purely humanitarian outreach initiative to the Ky'lar, a species so advanced they were almost mythical. Their empire spanned a third of the known galaxy, yet they maintained a baffling, near-total silence. Their cities were on artificial, colossal moons, each one a self-contained world of crystalline towers and silver-hued foliage, moving in silent, slow orbits. "Captain, the harmonic signature is stabilizing," reported Dr. Anya Sharma, the ship's primary engineer and Elias's oldest friend. Her voice was a low, comforting murmur, a perfect counterpoint to the distant alien sorrow. "It's not random. It's structured. It's a funeral march, Elias." Elias nodded slowly. He felt the cold pressure of the void, but a familiar human warmth radiated from the small, efficient bridge. Anya, with her precise logic and fiercely loyal heart, Kenji, the navigation officer who hummed old Earthfolk songs under his breath, and Seraph, the AI, whose quiet synthesized voice was the ship's conscience. This small crew was his world, his proof that even in the vast cold, connection was everything. Seraph, cross-reference the Ky'lar cultural archives. Search for any reference to a whispering moon or a lament of the first spore. Focus on emotional context, not literal translation. Acknowledged, Captain. Initial data suggests the moon, designated Ky'lar Habitat 4, or K4, is an archive world. It houses the Ky'lar stellar memory, the collective knowledge and, significantly, the collective grief of their species.
The sustained low-frequency thrumming is an unprecedented release of latent acoustic energy. Elias leaned closer to the main view screen. The moon, normally a dull silver orb, was now pulsating with a faint inner light. The Ky'lar were not known for outward displays of emotion. Their civilization was a study in stoicism and immense methodical efficiency. This raw, sonic outpouring was equivalent to a human city weeping publicly. "They're mourning something immense," Anya whispered, her hand instinctively touching the smooth console. "Something foundational." The underlying political pressure was a silent, corrosive thing. The galactic concord, the fragile alliance of younger, more volatile species, viewed the Ky'lar with a mix of awe and terror. They had demanded the Odyssey maintain a respectful, distant perimeter, a gesture of fear disguised as protocol. "Stay back. Let the giants grieve alone." But the Odyssey was a vessel of human curiosity and inherent lack of good sense, a trait Elias sometimes thought was humanity's greatest strength. They didn't know how not to try to help. "Kenji, plot a course," Elias said, a quiet resolve settling over him. "Maintain the Concord's mandated speed for the perimeter approach, but prepare a bypass. We are going in closer. We are not going to leave a grieving entity to mourn in isolation if we can offer a bridge of sound." He knew the risk. The Ky'lar had a defense system capable of turning the Odyssey into a cloud of scattered molecules before they could blink. But the ancient melody, so rich with sorrow and dignity, felt like an invitation, not a threat. Elias closed his eyes for a moment, letting the low cosmic hum wash over him. He thought of his own human heart, with its messy, chaotic history of loss and fierce, sudden love. He knew that the deepest connections were forged not in times of joy, but in shared vulnerability. "Seraph, begin broadcasting the Solarian empathy protocol on a tight beam matched to their frequency. Translate the following phrase: 'We hear your sorrow. We are here to listen.' Do not use any aggressive or challenging rhetoric. Keep the tone warm, tentative, and utterly sincere." The Odyssey banked gently, a tiny, defiant speck of human hope moving towards the vast, silver, whispering moon. The approach to K4 was a journey through a silent storm of feeling. As the Odyssey breached the official perimeter, no alarms flared, no warning shots were fired. Instead, the moon's singing intensified. It was no longer a single coherent lament, but a cacophony of echoes, layers of ancient buried sounds washing out from the moon's core. "The acoustic energy is causing micro-vibrations throughout the hull, Captain," Anya reported, her voice hushed. "It's like being inside a colossal bell." "Seraph, are our broadcasts getting through?" "Analysis indicates the Solarian message is being received and processed. However, there is no direct verbal or algorithmic response. Instead, the composition of the song is shifting. It is introducing new high-frequency elements. They are complex. They are asking something." Elias leaned forward, his focus absolute. He wasn't just listening, he was feeling. The new frequencies weren't words, they were patterns of resonance, like the structure of a mathematical proof, but built from emotion. "Anya, can you isolate the primary new pattern? Display it as a visual color and texture on the main screen." The screen transformed. The endless void vanished, replaced by a deep indigo field. Emerging from the indigo were threads of glowing, opalescent gold, forming geometric shapes that pulsed slowly. "Captain," Anya breathed, "that's a memory schematic, a blueprint of an event. The gold threads are representing a structure, maybe a city, and the indigo is the vastness of space surrounding it. They are showing us their loss," Elias realized, his voice thick with emotion. "They aren't telling us, showing us. They are sharing the memory itself." He recognized a profound cultural difference. Humans communicated with words, tools for shaping and often masking emotion. The Ky'lar communicated through unfiltered, structural feeling. "Seraph, can you translate the essence of the geometric structure?" The structure represents an orbital symbiosis habitat, a precursor to the current Ky'lar moon habitats. It was a fusion of two distinct life-form technologies. The emotional texture within the gold structure is one of immense creative pride intertwined with deep, almost unbearable love. Suddenly, the gold structure on the screen began to shatter. The threads frayed and dissolved into the indigo, accompanied by a sharp, nearly painful acoustic spike. "The memory is of a catastrophe," Kinji whispered from the nav station. "Total loss." Elias felt a surge of pure, empathetic pain, the collective, raw sorrow of a civilization that had lost something irreplaceable. He knew the Ky'lar grief was too big to touch with simple platitudes. Empathy required an action that mirrored their own. "Anya, we need to respond to the memory itself," Elias commanded. "We need to show them that we understand the feeling of loss, the weight of a beautiful thing turned to dust." He thought of the fractured history of Earth, the lost libraries, the species vanished forever. He knew the Ky'lar grief was too big to touch with simple words. "Seraph," Elias said, his voice dropping to a near whisper, "begin a complex acoustic broadcast, not a message. Send them a human lament, a collage of Earth's greatest works of sorrow. Play the Adagio from Albinoni, the lament of the Inuit seal hunters, and the sound of a single human teardrop impacting a silent, still pool. Layer them all. Let them hear the full, dignified spectrum of human mourning." This was a daring choice, an ethical cliffhanger. Was it respectful to interject humanity's messy, vibrant grief into the pure, vast sorrow of the Ky'lar? Elias decided that honesty was the highest form of respect. The Odyssey pulsed with the sound of Earth's sorrow, the mournful strings, the ancient, breathy cries of a long-ago hunter, and the quiet, poignant plink of a single human teardrop impacting a silent, still pool. The Ky'lar moon stopped singing. A chilling, profound silence enveloped the ship. The quiet was so heavy it felt physical, like a hand pressing against the hull. For long, agonizing seconds, Elias feared he had committed the ultimate cultural offense, that their bold act of empathy had been perceived as a challenge. Then a new sound began to emerge. It wasn't a lament, it was a single, pure tone, warm and resonant, coming from a newly opened aperture on the silver moon's surface. The aperture was not a weapon, it was a vast crystalline sensor dish, its facets shimmering like a billion tiny human eyes. "Captain, the Ky'lar are responding visually," Seraph announced, a tremor in its synthesized voice. "A memory probe is being extended. It is gentle, non-hostile. "This is it," Elias murmured. "This is the moment of contact. They're not interested in our weapons or our technology. They're reaching out for the emotional substance of our species." He did not hesitate. "Anya, Kenji, stabilize. Hold our position. Seraph, prepare the full emotional archive of the Solarian Empathy Protocol. Broadcast the memory of a human mother comforting her child, the sound of 1,000 people laughing together, and the quiet satisfaction of a life well lived. Prepare to share a full spectrum of human love and resilience." As the Ky'lar memory probe made contact with the Odyssey's hull, Elias Vance closed his eyes, preparing to receive the full weight of Ky'lar history. What he saw was not a civilization of cold logic, but one that had once known perfect unity and now suffered an equally perfect, agonizing fracture. The images flashed, two distinct entities, one made of pure flowing light, the other of stable crystalline structure, merging in a brilliant act of creation, the orbital symbiosis habitat. This was the Ky'lar's greatest love. Then, the shattering, an external vast energy pulse, an ancient force of the void, sweeping in and tearing the two entities apart, leaving the crystalline structure alone, grieving, forever echoing its lost light companion. The Ky'lar had not lost a structure, they had lost a soulmate. Elias understood now. The Ky'lar were not asking for help with a technical problem, they were asking for validation of their grief, a recognition that their colossal, quiet sorrow was real. He opened his eyes. They are not asking for a weapon to fight the void, they are asking for a song to sing back to it.
The decision was made with the quick, unified certainty that only a crew bound by deep trust can achieve. Seraph, locate the most powerful, non-destructive energy source we can safely channel, Elias ordered. We are going to use the Odyssey's main reactor as an acoustic resonator. We are going to build a Solarian Echo. Anya's eyes widened, but she didn't object. "Captain, rerouting the reactor's plasma field into the external acoustic dampeners is insane. It could fry our shielding." "It's a necessary insanity, Anya," Elias replied, a rare, fierce grin on his face. "The Ky'lar showed us their loss, a loss of light. We will give them a pulse of warmth that only a chaotic, stubborn species like ours could generate." Their plan was simple, reckless, and profoundly human: to weaponize empathy. They would take the powerful, steady energy of their fusion reactor and use the ship's hull to broadcast a resonant frequency that mirrored the Ky'lar's lost symbiotic partner. A pulse of vibrant, chaotic, living light and sound. Kenji began the difficult task of stabilizing the ship's proximity to the moon, navigating the unseen, shifting gravitational pull of the ancient habitat. "Holding position, Captain. Ready for the energy spike." Anya was a blur of focused movement, rerouting primary power. Core output at 80%, shielding offline. "Elias, this pulse has to be perfect. Too weak, and it's a whisper. Too strong, and we atomize the probe." "It will be perfect," Elias said, his hands resting on the helm. He felt the vast weight of the moment, the fate of two civilizations resting on a single, delicate gesture of kindness. "Seraph, begin the countdown. On my mark, release the full emotional archive, the laughter, the pride, the sheer, beautiful messiness of being human. The Ky'lar need to know that loss is the price of a bond worth having.
They need to hear the sound of a species that keeps getting back up. Countdown initiated. T minus 10, 9, 8. Elias closed his eyes and inhaled the recycled air of the bridge, a human breath in the face of the cosmos. He thought of his crew, their silent, total trust, the unity of their hearts in this moment of impossible risk. "Mark," he whispered. The Odyssey did not explode. Instead, it glowed. The fusion reactor's energy, instead of being used for propulsion, was channeled through the entire ship, causing the hull to emit a blinding golden-orange light, the color of soul, the color of human defiance and warmth. A single powerful acoustic pulse erupted from the ship, a sound that was neither a lament nor a challenge, but a roar of shared living experience. It was the sound of a billion beating hearts. The golden pulse crashed into the crystalline sensor dish of K4. The Ky'lar moon responded. The silence was shattered by a sound that wasn't sorrow, but a startled, magnificent intake of breath. The silver moon began to glow with a deep, electric purple, the color of wonder and dawning comprehension. The massive sensor dish didn't retreat, but it pulsed with the golden orange light of the Odyssey, resonating with the warmth of the human heart. For a moment, the two great cosmic entities, the ancient and grieving Ky'lar and the young, chaotic humans, were bound by a single, shared, unbreakable frequency of hope. The golden light of the Odyssey faded, leaving the small ship momentarily dark and silent, its systems sputtering but intact. Elias Vance slumped back in his seat, utterly spent, but a slow, powerful smile spread across his face. The Ky'lar moon, K4, no longer sang its song of sorrow. It began to emit a new, stable, rhythmic pulse, a beat of pure, quiet acknowledgement. "Captain," Seraph said, its voice now tinged with something akin to awe. "We have received a message, direct, verbal translated from the primary Ky'lar dialect." Elias leaned forward, his heart pounding. "Read it, Seraph." "The message is 4 words. You carry the echo," Seraph replied. "The message is 4 words. You carry the echo."
The aftermath was a study in profound cosmic quietude. The silver moon of K4 pulsed gently with its new rhythmic beat. The Solarian Echo had broken a cycle of eternal grief, replacing it with the sound of a shared future. Over the next few days, the Odyssey remained near K4. The vast, crystalline sensor dish never closed. Instead, it began to transmit a flow of data to Seraph. Not aggressive, strategic information, but a gentle offering of history and philosophy. "They are sharing their foundational texts," Seraph reported one morning, its voice steady. "The chronicles of the age of symbiosis. They are trusting us with their soul memory, Captain. The data packet is labeled The Lessons of Shared Light." The revelation sent ripples of stunned silence through the Odyssey bridge, and soon after, across the entire galactic concord. The formidable, silent Ky'lar were not cold overlords. They were a civilization frozen by a loss so immense that only the warm, reckless, heartfelt gesture of a young species could thaw them. Elias Vance sat in his chair, watching the Ky'lar moon. He felt the weight of history, but also the lightness of possibility. The Ky'lar had seen 1,000 species rise and fall,
but they had never encountered one that would risk everything merely to comfort a stranger's pain. Elias mused, rubbing his tired eyes. They called us the Echo, Anya. They saw the light half of their lost companion in the chaotic, pulsing warmth of humanity. We are the messy, vibrant reflection of the unity they lost. Anya nodded, her gaze distant. They feared vulnerability. They built walls of silence to protect their immense heart. We showed them that vulnerability isn't weakness. It is the prerequisite for true connection. The greatest impact of the Solarian Echo wasn't political or military. It was emotional. The Ky'lar, for the first time in millennia, began to communicate. They didn't start with treaties or trade agreements. They started with stories. They began sending small, perfectly formed acoustic memories of their lost partner. Memories of joy, of creation, of simple, shared moments under alien suns. And humanity responded. The Odyssey broadcast the sounds of Earth's great cathedrals, the roar of a newborn baby, the quiet crackle of a campfire under the stars. The Solarian Empathy Protocol had become the first true galactic conversation. Elias Vance, the xenolinguist, had never fired a weapon, but he had single-handedly rewritten the rulebook of interstellar diplomacy. He proved that the ultimate human triumph was not in conquering the stars, but in reaching across the void to mend a broken heart. As the Odyssey finally began its long, slow journey home, leaving the whispering moon to its new, steady beat, Elias stood alone on the bridge. The vacuum of space was still cold and vast, but it no longer felt empty. It felt like a shared room. He looked out at the distant moon, now a comforting, rhythmic pulse of purple light, a monument to a bond forged in mutual vulnerability. He thought of all the times humanity had been dismissed as too aggressive, too emotional, too short-lived. But tonight, the flaw in humanity had become its salvation. Sleep now, and let your dreams be filled with the distant, steady rhythm of that hopeful, whispering moon. The human spirit is not found in the tools we wield, but in the unconditional warmth we choose to share. It is the echo of soul, a small, chaotic fire capable of mending the universe's greatest wounds.